The stars vanished. Above Earth, the sky shimmered as if draped in steel. Thousands of alien vessels slid into orbit, blotting out constellations that had guided humanity for millennia. Civilians craned their necks at city skylines, seeing clusters of dark shapes suspended in the night. Broadcasts erupted with panic. Children clung to parents as screens filled with monstrous silhouettes, cruisers as large as mountains, carriers with glowing bays wide enough to swallow stadiums. In Geneva Orbital Station, the Earth Defense Council convened inside the chamber carved from reinforced alloy and glass. The room trembled faintly with each new warp signature detected beyond the windows. Generals and politicians sat at the circular table, voices sharp, eyes darting between displays projecting the sheer scale of the invading fleet. "They've deployed a vanguard force larger than all of our navies combined," Admiral Rees said. Sweat glistened at his temple as tactical holograms populated the air. "By estimates, at least 7 dreadnoughts, 200 capital ships, thousands of escorts. They could sterilize Earth in hours." A minister from Africa muttered, "Then perhaps we should listen before they fire." "They won't negotiate in good faith," countered another, his voice rising. "They came for one thing, submission." The chamber dimmed. A wave of static surged across comm channels. The alien transmission forced itself through. A towering figure materialized in holographic form, scaled armor, angular ridges across a cruel, reptilian face. Eyes of molten gold scanned the chamber as though looking down upon insects. General XY Rartaukor stood with talons resting on the hilt of a ceremonial blade. His voice rolled like thunder. "Humans! You will pay tribute. 1/3 of your medals. 1/5 of your youth as soldiers. Your allegiance to the Empire. Refuse and Earth burns." The words echoed, leaving silence heavy as lead. No one moved. President Hanamatsuda straightened her jacket and answered cautiously. "General Corps, we are a sovereign people. We will not." Silence. His roar cut through her sentence. "You are ants who found fire. The Empire is the storm that drowns ants. Choose, kneel, or perish." The transmission ended abruptly. Lights returned, but the air carried the stench of humiliation. Arguments erupted. "We cannot fight them," shouted the finance minister. "If we resist, humanity ends. And if we kneel, we live as slaves," barked General O'Connor, fists clenched. The chamber spiraled into chaos. Some demanded surrender to save billions of civilians. Others refused outright. Words tangled into fear and desperation until a single voice, cold and measured, broke through. "Enough." Heads turned. Colonel Irina Volkov rose slowly from her seat. Her uniform was plain, her hair streaked with gray, her eyes sharp as blades. To most, she was retired. To those who knew the old wars, she was legend. The soldiers called her Baba Yaga. Her gaze swept the chamber, pinning each member in silence. "They do not want tribute," she said. "They want us broken. Kneel once, and we never rise again." The president's lips parted. "Colonel, our forces are not their concern. Their concern is domination. They want our sons and daughters in their armies, our resources feeding their fleets, our spirit crushed so that no other species dares resist." Her words carried weight because she spoke without passion, without plea, only with certainty. Admiral Rees rubbed his forehead. "Even if we fight, our chances are less than 1%. She finished for him. "I know. But submission is 0. The math is simple." The minister who favored tribute slammed a palm on the table. "You would risk billions on pride?" Irina's eyes narrowed. "On freedom. There is no existence worth having if we live chained." For a long moment, no one spoke. Then General O'Connor leaned forward. "Colonel, if we refuse, what do you propose?" Her voice dropped to a low rasp. "We show them that humans do not break. We fight where it matters. We bleed them until they remember our name." Some shifted uneasily. Others, silently, felt the frost of her certainty seep into their bones. The president's hands trembled slightly as she addressed the chamber. Council members, we must decide. Tribute or defiance. Votes flashed on terminals. One by one, choices lit up, red for surrender, blue for resistance. The tally wavered, almost even, until the final count solidified. Blue won. Narrowly, but decisively. President Matsuda exhaled and turned toward the stars. We will not kneel. A comms officer sent the transmission. To the waiting fleet above Earth, humanity delivered its answer in a single sentence. We pay no tribute. Come and take it. The council chamber fell into stunned silence. Some lowered their heads in dread, others straightened in grim pride. Only Irina Volkov remained perfectly still, her expression carved from stone. She whispered words no microphone caught, but those closest to her heard. If they want tribute, let us pay in blood. Theirs. The alien fleet hung in orbit like a steel noose, vast shadows moving slowly above Earth. Every broadcast replayed the ultimatum, every screen filled with images of the warships waiting for the order to strike. Panic bled through cities, markets collapsed, transport grids jammed, governments urged calm that no one believed. Underground, the Earth Defense Council had shifted to survival mode. Subterranean bunkers and orbital habitats filled with evacuees. Military garrisons readied for a battle that most strategists believed unwinnable. Yet in the command halls, one figure directed preparations with terrifying precision. Colonel Irina Volkov walked the length of Geneva Orbital Station's war room as orders fired across the network. Her presence was steady, her words clipped, without flourish. She spoke as one who already accepted her own death. Activate the orbital grid, she said. I want every cannon primed, every coil calibrated. If a technician hesitates, replace them. Yes, Colonel. Screens displayed the orbital defense cannons, ancient weapons buried deep in mountain ranges and under oceans, relics of Earth's first attempt at planetary defense centuries ago. Few even remembered they existed. Now they would be called upon to hold back an empire. In the hangar decks, soldiers rushed to load stealth corvettes with equipment. Strike teams donned armored suits, their faces pale, hands shaking as they checked weapons. Volkov moved among them, silent until a young recruit intercepted her. His voice cracked. Ma'am, do we stand a chance? She studied him a moment. The boy couldn't have been older than 19, freckles stark against pale skin. She placed a gloved hand on his shoulder. Survival is not the point, she said. Making them regret ever crossing us is. The answer did not soothe him, but it hardened his expression. He saluted, and she returned it. On the other side of the system, General Kor stood aboard his flagship, the Dominion's Wrath. His officers gathered at his table, holographic maps displaying Earth's defenses. They rejected tribute, one said. Kor's scaled jaw curled into a sneer. Predictable. Primitive species always mistake defiance for strength. Tomorrow, their world burns. Their leaders will beg before the bombardment ends. The officers laughed, toasting with goblets of thick, amber liquid. To them, Earth was already conquered. Meanwhile, Volkov gathered her senior staff inside a secure chamber beneath the station. Admiral Ruiz, General O'Connor, President Matsuda, and a handful of commanders joined. The air was heavy with anticipation. We have 24 hours until their strike, Ruiz reported. We can't match them ship for ship. Even with cannons, the odds are suicide. Then we fight smart, Volkov said. She pressed her hand against the table, pulling up a hologram of the fleet. Red dots swarmed like a storm cloud above Earth. We can't crush them. But we can bleed them. Sever their head, scatter the body. You're suggesting infiltration, O'Connor said. Yes. We'll warp corvettes into their command vessels. Strike teams board, disable systems, assassinate officers. While they scramble, our cannons fire. And the prototype dreadnought emerges from Luna's shadow. The president frowned. The dreadnought hasn't been tested in combat. Volkov's reply was ice. Neither has extinction. The room went still. One by one, heads nodded. Hours later, lights dimmed across barracks and hangars. Soldiers prepared in silence. Some prayed, others wrote last letters. In one corner, 2 Marines argued over who would lead the breach team if both survived. Their laughter was forced but necessary. Volkov moved among them like a ghost, speaking little. Yet her presence steadied nerves more than speeches could. She stopped only when Rees approached. "You really think this will work?" he asked under his breath. Her eyes remained on the soldiers. "I don't think in terms of working or failing. I think in terms of leaving scars. They want tribute. Let's give them grief." The following morning, the alien fleet transmitted again. General Kor's image filled the command chamber, smug and unshaken. "Humans," he declared, "you have one final chance. Kneel now, and perhaps I spare a few of your cities." Volkov stepped forward before the president could speak. Her voice was calm, measured, without any hint of fear. "You call us ants. But ants do not kneel. They swarm. They bite. And they kill giants." A ripple of shock crossed the chamber. Kor blinked once, then threw back his head and laughed, a guttural sound that rattled the speakers. "Then tomorrow, the anthill burns," he said. His image vanished. The countdown began. Civilians streamed into bunkers. Sirens wailed across continents. Ships took position, engines humming with nervous energy. The orbital cannons powered up, their massive barrels rising from hidden silos, glowing with stored plasma. On the decks of stealth corvettes, strike teams strapped into chairs. Volkov stood at the head of her unit, helmet tucked under her arm. Her voice carried through the calms. "Listen well. We are already dead if we kneel. So we will live instead, as nightmares in their history. We strike hard, vanish, and strike again. Remember why you fight. Not for yourselves. For those below us who cannot lift a rifle." She placed her helmet on, visor sealing with a hiss. Around her, soldiers mirrored the motion. Above Earth, the alien fleet aligned into formation. Dreadnoughts spread their wings of steel, smaller vessels swirling like predators scenting prey. From Geneva Station, the sight filled every screen. It was the image of impending doom. Yet in the shadows, hidden among rocks and cloaked by electronic dampeners, Earth's defenders waited. Orbital cannons hummed, their charge building to a lethal crescendo. The dreadnought prototype loomed in Luna's shadow, silent and unseen, its massive guns warming. Volkov's corvette drifted among debris, cloaked, engines cold. Inside, soldiers gripped weapons, their breaths steadying as the seconds ticked down. Midnight approached. Humanity's final stand was set. The sky over Earth ignited. Alien warships advanced in perfect formation, dreadnoughts at the center, escorts swarming like steel predators. From the bunkers below, civilians watched live feeds as dark silhouettes filled the heavens. Mothers held children close, fathers clenched fists, prayers murmured in languages from every continent. On the Dominion's wrath, General Kor raised a clawed hand. "Commence bombardment." At once, hundreds of alien cannons lit the void. But before a single round reached atmosphere, Earth answered. The mountains themselves roared. From hidden silos beneath oceans and buried fortresses, orbital cannons launched beams of blinding energy. Massive lances tore across space, vaporizing cruisers in brilliant flashes. Whole squadrons vanished before they even turned. On Earth's tactical screens, cheers erupted. For the first time, humanity struck back. Inside a stealth corvette hidden in debris, Colonel Irina Volkov braced as her ship surged forward. "Target locked," the pilot said. "Engage warp," she ordered. The vessel slipped into folded space, reappearing inside the enemy formation. Alarm sirens blared across alien channels. Volkov's strike team launched, magnetic boots clanging as they stormed the hull of a cruiser. Explosives ripped open airlocks, and humans poured inside, rifles spitting fire. Alien defenders screeched as corridors filled with smoke and blood. The humans fought like wolves, every movement deliberate, efficient, merciless. "Secondary team, breach confirmed," came a voice over comms. "Sabotage in progress." Volkov advanced at the front, blade in one hand, rifle in the other, cutting through resistance with terrifying calm. Each kill drove the strike closer to its true target, Dominion's wrath. At the same time, Earth's prototype dreadnought slid from Luna's shadow. Its hull bristled with experimental weaponry, engines glowing blue-white. "Fire!" the captain ordered. Twin cannons unleashed plasma storms, tearing into an alien battleship. Explosions rippled outward, fragments spinning into nothing. Panic spread through the enemy ranks as the unexpected Leviathan carved a path. "Where did they get that ship?" one alien officer cried. General Kor snarled, slamming a talon on the table. "Destroy it! No primitive world builds such a vessel!" Volkov's corvette rammed into Dominion's wrath. Charges detonated, and her team spilled into the corridors of the flagship. Fighting erupted instantly. Aliens hurled themselves forward, but Volkov's soldiers cut them down in disciplined bursts. Smoke choked the passageways, alarms howled, and sparks rained from shattered conduits. "Command deck ahead," Volkov said into comms. They forced their way through blast doors. Inside, General Kor stood tall, armored, eyes glowing with rage. His officers recoiled at the sight of humans flooding the deck. "Hold the line!" Kor roared, drawing his massive blade. Volkov stepped through the smoke, visor cracked, blood streaking her armor. She tossed aside her empty rifle and unsheathed her combat knife. "Kor," she said evenly, "your tribute is due." The room froze. Soldiers hesitated, watching the confrontation unfold. Kor's voice dripped with contempt. "You are ants facing fire." Volkov tilted her head, expression unreadable. "Then watch how ants kill giants." He lunged, blade slicing the air. Volkov dodged, countering with a slash across his forearm. Sparks flew as steel struck alien alloy. Kor roared, swinging again, strength overwhelming. Volkov moved like a shadow, every strike aimed to bleed, to weaken. They circled, the clash of weapons echoing against metal walls. Kor drove her back with brute force, slamming her into a console. Sparks exploded around them. He sneered, pressing his blade toward her throat. "You cannot stop inevitability," he growled. Volkov's lips curled into the faintest smile. "Inevitable is death. And I am its hand." With a surge of strength, she twisted, driving her knife between the plates of his armor. He staggered, bellowing in pain. She shoved the blade deeper, ripping through flesh. Then she activated her comms, broadcasting his death to every channel across the fleet. The image of their general collapsing, blood spraying, filled alien view screens. His final cry echoed across comm frequencies before silence consumed him. Panic spread like wildfire. Without their leader, alien formations wavered. Command structures fractured. Some captains fled, others surrendered. Earth's defenders seized the moment, their cannons and dreadnought tearing through the disorganized fleet. Admiral Rees shouted over comms, "They're breaking! Drive them out!" On Earth, civilians in bunkers heard the news and erupted into cheers. For the first time, humanity believed. Volkov stood over Kor's corpse, blood dripping from her knife. Her visor cracked fully, revealing eyes cold and unyielding. She activated her comms once more, speaking not just to her team, but to the galaxy. "We bow to none. Let this be your warning." Her words echoed across thousands of channels, reaching systems light years away. Oppressed species listened in awe, whispering the name Baba Yaga. The myth of humanity was born in that moment. When the last alien ships retreated, the battlefield was littered with debris, smoldering hulks drifting among stars. Earth's dreadnought limped back to dock, hull scorched but standing. The orbital cannons powered down, smoke rising from their exhausted barrels. Humanity had survived. Yet victory carried scars. Thousands of soldiers lay dead. Cities still smoldered from stray bombardments. Families wept, even as crowds celebrated. Inside Geneva Orbital Station, leaders gathered once more. They spoke of rebuilding, of preparing for the Empire's inevitable return. But their voices trembled with something new, resolve. Alone, Volkov stood at a viewport overlooking Earth. The planet glowed blue beneath the dawn. She removed her cracked helmet, letting the cold light strike her face. A soldier approached. Colonel, we won. Her gaze remained on the horizon. No. We survived. Winning comes later. The soldier hesitated, then nodded. Volkov's eyes narrowed at the stars where the enemy had fled. They thought us prey. Now they know better. She whispered words meant only for herself, but destined to echo across history. The Baba Yaga has awakened,